So I've switched our background image. Those of you who know the art might know what we're doing, but we're going to do a quick off the shelf on Villains Are Destined to Die, volumes 5 and 6, which I gave Knick Knack to read a little while ago. Because we stopped reading a bunch of villainess manga at the end of the year for a couple months, I actually have a pretty large backlog on the ones he actually said he enjoyed. So this is one of the ones that you said you enjoyed. So we're going to keep going on it. So 2 volumes at a time, just like we've done the last 2 videos, 2 volumes at a time. So we pick up in volume 5 from, let's see. Oh, into the trial. Yeah, we pick up in the trial. So I would like to hear your thoughts on volumes 5 and 6.
Man, I love me a good trial segment. Like, that got the Ace Attorney fan in me tickled. Just tickled. I think I put on some actual, like, Professor Layton Cross Ace Attorney, like, magic courtroom, soundtrack while I was reading that section, and it was glorious.
It's a fun trial too.
Yeah.
Like it's a really interesting one because she has to like really manage herself because her brother's like, you should just plead
guilty.
Plead guilty and we'll eventually get you out of it. And it's like, that's kind of bullshit. But like her brother didn't even trust her and she was telling the truth. So she got backed up by one of the male love interests and got out of it. And then we had the hilarious fucking interaction with her and the prince. Because he's just like, what did you do?
What did you do?
How dare you? He is it's so funny that like his reaction. Because she's just like, I'm gonna die.
Hey. So I want to get something from you now as for payment.
Oh boy.
Just don't kill me whatever you find out in the next few days.
Yeah, she's like, I saved you, so don't kill me no matter what you hear. And he's like, what am I going to hear? And she's like, you don't need to know. You just need to promise not to kill me.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, hilarious. We also finally get to see her with the slave boy again. Because he was absent for like the last volume or 2.
Yeah, and they changed up the dynamic. She no longer can just see how her relationship's progressing with these characters.
Yeah, she has to like pay now if she wants to see them.
Or she has the color code indication, which I think she is wholly misinterpreting.
Yeah, because the color coding's interesting because they're all turning different colors now, and she can't tell what the colors mean, but partially because remember, she's reborn into this video game where she kept dying. I think part of the reason why she's misinterpreting the colors and not understanding is because she never successfully managed to get to that point in the game when she was playing it, remember?
I think what she's missing here is that those things are not a linear progression. They are showing her the nature of the relationship she has with them. So, like, that, like, I don't remember what color the slave guy's one was.
It's, like, grayish, I think.
But she's not creating, like, a formal romantic love. She's creating a dependency.
Yeah. Yeah. Because his is, like, it's almost like a grayish red. There's, like, hints of, like, a blood red, but it's primarily black. And listing at, like, 81%. Like, that's really high.
Like, that's her walking straight into the finished the route and got the bad ending, I'm pretty sure.
Something like that. Because, like, the prince, his is in, like, bright, deep red, right? And she takes that as bad. She's like, this is a warning light. But also, like, deep red is the color of, like, passion and, like, love. You know, like a red heart. So maybe...
Like, yeah, she's just misinterpreting this system entirely.
Yeah. Also, she tries to, like, fake that she's sick by putting on makeup and doesn't notice that he just wipes it off. Completely knowing that she is not sick when he comes to see her. She's like, God damn it! How dare. Because he gets all mad. He's like, my reputation is ruined because of you. And she's like, but you promised. You said you wouldn't kill me. You promised. Which is, I think it's really funny that it seems like she's doing the best with the characters that she had given up on. Because her whole plan was the slave, right? And initially the magician, right? And she didn't want to deal with her brothers or the prince, right? Her half-brother, or her fake brothers, or the prince. But it seems like she's progressing surprisingly well with the 3 of them.
Well, I think it's because the ones that she's kind of ignoring or trying, like, doesn't actually care about are the ones that she's treating more human. Whereas, like, the magician she's treating as a business partner. And the slave... that plot point. She's being ridiculously manipulative too.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like they're just I don't know, get you a man who beheads the people who brought you to trial?
Yeah.
Like, man, OTP. OTP. I actually know who she ends up in the end with, so that was spoiled for me a while back. And then Volume 6 was interesting because Volume 6 concentrates almost entirely until the very end on the magician and the slave. Right?
We're getting a lot of plot progression with
Volume 6 was heavy because you have her finally convincing her father to let him become a knight, right?
Yeah.
And train him properly. And him, like, actually coming to her and asking for things, which is really the first time he's ever done that. And then you have the immense amount of shit that happens with the magician. And she's, at this point, she deals with the magician and she's like, this might be a test or whatever. And by the end of the book, she's like, get fucked. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to be near you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to deal with you. I don't care what you feel about me. I want you gone.
Because, like, she walked headfirst into the plot.
She really did.
But
like,
she never got this far in the game.
No. She walks headfirst into a plot of, like, children getting kidnapped, right? Like, magician children getting kidnapped. And then this strange priestess draining the life out of people through, like, kisses and rituals.
And I love the heel turn from the magician where you find out, no, he did not fully trust her this entire time.
Yeah, and she's like, what the fuck, my guy?
But
like,
also, she hasn't been forthcoming with him. She's been treating him like a business partner and a tool to get out of here. So.
I think it's interesting because it seems like she's taking offense to the fact that he is treating her with the same suspicion that she is treating him.
Yeah.
Right? It almost feels like she doesn't think that these are three-dimensional characters. She's still seeing them as just game, like, two-dimensional game
outside
characters.
Of the people she hates.
Yeah, but
or
even...
is terrified of.
Yeah. And so she's like, this character is just a two-dimensional game character, but obviously it's not. And I think she needs to realize that. Also, the prince comes back at the end and, like, you know, prince in shining armor. And then, for those of you who might intend on reading this and don't want spoilers about book 6, I'm going to wait 5 seconds before I talk about the big end spoiler. So you can click away. Or mute us for a couple of minutes. Cursed silence. Cursed silence. Okay, so the weird priestess being revealed to maybe be the real Penelope? Yvonne? Yeah,
like,
not the real Penelope, but
yeah.
Yvonne? The missing character?
It makes me wonder how we got into the situation in the first place with the original story. Like,
yeah.
If she was the priestess, where did the wizard, where did he find her at? Or how did this not come up then?
And I wonder maybe because she's described it before, because in the original story you follow Yvonne as a character. You come back in, you gain the love of all these characters, you pick one, you have a good ending, right? It almost seems like the route where you play as Penelope, which is what she's currently playing as, what she was reborn into, is an entirely different story. Like, this game just hid a whole second story where Yvonne is the villain in the end code of the original story, where, you know, you beat all the characters, you get to this harder level, and now Penelope's the good guy and Yvonne is the bad guy, but you start at a disadvantage.
It could also be a situation where it's like a big plot twist where you were the villain all along in the original playthrough.
I mean, to be fair, and not to be weird here, it also could just be that she's been reborn into, you know, a world that she thought was a video game, but this is actually a full-fledged world, and her actions have changed the way that this world works, and that this is actively new things happening that never happened in the game. That's possible.
Yeah, I have to wonder how much of this was actually possible in the original game, the dialogue choices.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. So,
like, there's almost no way that the wizard with the system would be like, you're just teleporting everywhere, and you're using magic
without knowing how to use magic or being a magician.
Like, and there's not much. I don't know how you would get to that point without it being this, like, the transmigrated version of it.
I'm interested. I'm super interested in seeing where this goes, because this is not what I expected when I started reading this volume. I really thought that like Yvonne would get introduced, and as is in the tradition of this particular archetype of villainess stories, Yvonne gets introduced and she's just a nice kind of innocent girl who comes into the family and retakes her place, and in some versions the good girl will then be a little bit manipulative and try to kick the villain out, and in some versions they'll just be really nice and they make friends, but there's just two girls going through this story and the leads get split up between them or whatever, depending on how they act. Like, that's what I was expecting. Like, Yvonne to come in and the Crown Prince to just be like, I don't give a shit about Yvonne, I still like you, And, but that's not what's happening, which is interesting. So it's definitely different from the other stories that might have a similar twist.
Which route do you go down? Hamaphora or... what's that other one we're reading where like there's the clear
Remarried Empress or Abandoned Empress?
I think it's Abandoned Empress.
Abandoned Empress is a transmigration. Remarried Empress is just a historical romance.
Yeah, I think it's Abandoned Empress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because Abandoned Empress, you've got the... Yeah, we're going to talk about that when we get to recording those, because I've got 4 volumes of that in the backlog, and shit also happens there. Lots of shit. But yeah, so I guess catch us with another off the shelf at some point soon. Not a Villains Are Destined to Die anytime soon, because I don't have any more volumes. It's going to be a while before more come out. Mm-hmm. But we'll have other stuff coming out. This is actually not going to go up for a while. So, y'all got to see this early. Let me switch back our screensaver.